I really enjoy making these videos of me working on the truck and other projects, but I hate spending the time setting up the camera, framing the shot, thinking everything's in focus, hitting record, only to find out after I've spent 3 hours in the shop that everything is blurry. And then on top of that, spending the time working on the car, figuring out how it comes apart, trying not to break anything, taking my time, and then right at the critical moment as you're pulling that last, I really enjoy using these Canon cameras. Right now I'm using a Rebel T3i that I bought back in 2011 or 2012. I bought that G7X about a year ago, which sadly died when I was sandblasting. But there's just one or two things about these cameras that just are making them not work with my current workflow. The first thing is just not knowing if they're in focus. I think they're in focus and I leave autofocus on, and then they grab some random object that's in the background or in the foreground and just focus on that. And 15 minutes of video is just out of focus and blurry. The other thing is you're working on the part for 15 to 20 minutes and you hear that dreaded noise of the camera just going off. I have mine set up so it goes off as quickly as I can after it stops recording, but that's still like a minute that I've missed. That's usually when the most crucial thing happens in the video. So it's not working for me anymore. So for the past month, I've been working on a camera setup that I think will work better for me in the long run. There's a couple trade-offs that I have to make to get it to work, but in the end, I think it'll work better. It won't automatically shut off, and I'll know if it's in focus. The negative side is everything is now manual. It'll take me more time to set up the shots. I've also noticed that recently there's a lot of videos coming from the cinematography YouTubers claiming the best camera rig build for X amount of money, or the best camera build for whatever. Going with that theme, this is my best camera rig build for me. Here we have all the components that will make up my new rig. Blackmagic Micro Cinema Camera. Metabones EF mount to micro 4/3 speed boost. Canon EF 10 to 18mm f 4.5 to 5.6. 100mm Arca Swiss rail. 11-inch articulating arm. 7-inch Feel World display. 3D printed Metabones mount. 3D printed camera body mount. 3D printed rail mount. 3D printed monitor mount. 3D printed battery pack mount. And 3D printed 18650 battery pack. Now that I've run down the list, let's get this thing put together so I can talk about how I got to this size. And here it is, my new studio camera rig. 3 things I want to go over with before I close out this video. The first one is why I went with using the Blackmagic Micro Cinema Camera body for my base. And the main reason is I had it on my shelf of camera parts. It was meant for another personal project that eventually died, and it just kind of sat around. I enjoyed using it the little bit that I did when I was working on that project. I had a micro four thirds lens on it, which was fun, but I enjoy my Canon glass a little bit more. So I decided to bite the bullet and buy the Metabone speed booster so I could use all of that glass. I had it, it wasn't doing anything. Now it's going to do something, and hopefully I can adjust to it. I know that there's a couple caveats with it, but main thing is it doesn't automatically turn off and it doesn't automatically stop recording unless it fills up the memory card. I will take any of the other challenges that come along with it just so I don't have to worry about it recording, stopping just randomly. The second thing is this battery pack. Right now it is a couple 4-cell 18650 holders that are connected together in this weird array. You can pop it out and then you can fold it open and you can get to each individual cell. Let me put this back on. The reason I went with this is because I have a ton of 18650 batteries that I've salvaged from old laptop batteries. And I put them to use in random things, and I thought a really good use was to be able to power a rig like this. The reason I can access each of the individual cells is because I'm not sure the condition of each battery. So I can do a preliminary test on the test bench, and then I can throw them in here and I can actually run them and see how they do. This is also adjustable so that I can do like 2S or 3S or 4S in this example, and then I can do different milliamp hours on the battery. Right now I'm using all 4, so this is about 2, 4, 6, 8,000 milliamps at 4S, which is around 14 to 15 volts fully charged. And the reason I'm doing that is because I don't know exactly how big to build the battery packs. I do have a small grid system that I use when I just want to make ones that are dedicated to the purpose, and until I know the size of these, I'm going to be using this as kind of like a test bench, and I can use this in future projects as well. But the idea is to be able to test out the cells, come up with a battery size that will work good for this rig, and then when the time comes, I'll print out my little grids, solder everything together, put a balanced system on it, and just have it its own little battery pack, which will probably be about half of the size of this. I'll make a couple of those and they'll just live with this camera system. The third thing I want to mention is that this is just phase 1 of this entire project. Because the Blackmagic Micro Cinema Camera body has S-Bus communications, I've done some research about how that protocol works. It looks like something that I can program an Arduino to kind of mimic. So the second phase is to make a controller that goes along with the monitor that has the focus, the zoom, the ISO, the f-stop control all built into it so that it can communicate over a wire that plugs into the D-sub connection as well. And then the third phase is taking and making that run off of Bluetooth and then connecting an HDMI transmitter from the HDMI output to my monitor so that the monitor can actually be independent of the camera. And the idea of phase 3 is that I could like set up the camera where I want it and then have the monitor near me while I'm working. And then if I need to adjust something or if I notice something isn't correct, I can go ahead and adjust it right there without having to go to the camera to fix everything. All right, well, I guess we'll wrap up the introduction of my new camera rig here. As always, I appreciate you watching. If you have any comments or questions, go ahead and leave them below. If you would like to get updates about kitty cat. If you would like to get updates about when I release new videos, go ahead and subscribe. And I'll see you in front of this thing in the next one.